All right, it's time to look at the crypto market, and there's some fascinating things going on, and it's time to take a close look. Because if we look at the Bitcoin price, it's absolutely been on a tear. It has all the characteristics of markets that are going to run and run and run, in that it hasn't given a significant pullback. So there are a lot of people who wanted to get long here, didn't have the guts, and they're going to buy that next pullback. So any pullback to around here becomes fantastic value. But the crypto market as a whole is at a critical juncture. So one of two things could happen. You shouldn't buy anything that's shot up that fast. That's just idiotic. So chances are we're going to have a more substantial pullback for a long time, to wipe off some of that overbought momentum. But there are two situations. If we're still in a bear market, it just craps itself again, goes back down to fresh lows. That seems very, very unlikely. So what is far more likely is that the capital that's made all these unrealized gains here, bought at 3,000, now it's 8,000, that's a big gain, is going to cycle off into altcoins. So what I'm seeing when I look at the major alts is signs that we may be starting alt season. So if we look at, let's look at them in order. And the critical thing about cryptocurrencies is that you have most of them measured against Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin Cash is probably the strongest gainer. It's looking great now, but when we look at it against Bitcoin, BCH, BTC, you can see clearly we've got a retest of this lows here, and Bitcoin Cash looks set to outperform Bitcoin now. Now let's look at the same thing with Litecoin, USD. You know, Litecoin's been going up, not as fast as Bitcoin. And let's look at Litecoin against Bitcoin. You can see the same thing, the strong move off the lows. If we get a retest, that's a lovely, lovely buy setup. Now let's look at some of the others. Let's look at TRX, BTC, Tron. Now that, if we get a retest of that low, that becomes a very convincing bottoming pattern. And if we look at Tron against Tron has held up fairly well through this bear market. So even though it gets a lot of heat as being a shitcoin, it's surprisingly good. Now, one that has been performing well is Basic Attention Token, which is a thing with a browser called Brave. On a Bitcoin base, on a USD basis, it's held up. It kicked off strongly. It's back up to 52 cents, which is, you know, look at where it was. It's about halfway towards recovering its all-time highs. Now let's look at it against Bitcoin. We would need a retest of that before that would become a strong buy. Let's look at a couple of others. I want to look at Neo BTC. Now this is a very strong move off the lows. What I want to see is a move back retesting, and then this becomes a strong buy again. Let's look at Icon, ICX, BTC. Not quite as strong. That one's probably one to skip. BNB BTC. So this is the Binance coin, their local token, which has been on a tear. Pulled back against Bitcoin recently. We have the completed retest of the lows here. This is a solid buy. What else can we look at? VeChain. Same thing. So across the board in alts, we're seeing these strong kickoffs off the lows. So what I believe that is the market signaling that we're at the start of alt season. And what does that mean? It means that all of this profit, what we had at the old highs way back a couple of years ago, was what happened is there was so much unrealized profit in Bitcoin that as Bitcoin peaked, this money cycled into these altcoins and shitcoins and just created a massive high beta bull run. So some of these things are poised to make hundreds and hundreds of percent right now. So that's exactly where I would be putting my money right now. And yeah, that's exactly where I'd be putting my money. Okay.